Beverages with Brad.
You've made it. It only took you 30 years of comedy to finally get on.
That's big. This is big, and I had to get up early for my nap, Brad, for this. So I want you to know,
Wow.
my afternoon nap is very crucial in the comedy business.
I'm so honored. What made you decide, all right, yeah, you know what I want to do? I want to do stand-up comedy.
To be honest with you, the first time I ever did comedy, I was in rehab. I was in Edge Hill, Newport, which was an alcohol rehab. They put together a talent show. I had never done comedy, so I said, I'll do comedy. And I put together a skit based on the units at Edge Hill, Newport.
You mean like material about what you were experiencing?
Edge Hill, Newport, and what I was experiencing. And I got up and I did a set, and I had a great set in a rehab.
So you crushed at rehab.
I crushed in a rehab, right? And then I went to Periwinkle's Comedy Club. They had an open mic, and it was a popular place. It was in the arcade in downtown Providence. And I got up, and the first time I got up, I did really well. I was I had a great set.
Two good stunts?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a great set, and then I went back 2 more times and bombed horribly. So I was like...
Was it a huge, comedy's easy.
Yeah.
I'm killing it. And
That's
then
what I thought.
reality hit.
Reality hit, and I said, you know what? This is tough, and I stopped. And nobody kind of took me under their wing, and I stopped for 8 years. My biggest regret in comedy in the 80s was the boom. That's when Boston was happening, Rhode Island was happening. There was tons of comedy. Stephen Wright, Dennis Leary, Lenny Clark, all those guys came out of Boston at that time, but they were performing in Providence. And so I came back. I said, I got to keep doing this, you know what I mean? When I came back, I went to Periwinkle's. It was a big crowd. I had a really good set. This guy booked me to host a show at the Bonneview in Narragansett. I did the same set I did at Periwinkle's, and people looked at me for 10 minutes and bombed again.
That's not fun.
You could hear a pin drop in that place. So now here I am. It's 1991. I've been up a few times in stand-up. I've had a couple of good experiences, maybe 3, and like 3 bad. It was the funniest comic in Rhode Island, and I came in second. And I'd only been doing comedy, a couple of months. So things started happening for me. I could feel that I, could make people laugh. But I had a lot of ups and downs. But this time I didn't quit. I think that's the biggest thing I can tell any new comic, no matter how bad your set is or how many ups and downs you have, is to stick with it, because I regret those 8 years I lost. Not saying I would have made it big or nothing, but those were the boom years, big years, and I lost those 8 years. I mean, I've been doing it 25 years now, but I would have loved to have those 8 years back. In the early 90s, I used to go up with an index card. I had all the jokes right in order I was going to do, but little by little, I had been doing crowd work, and I got more laughs that way. And so one day, I just put the cards aside. I got set stuff, when I get up for the crowd, but then I come up with new stuff depending on who's in the crowd and what they do, you know what I mean? And so it just worked for me better. And I try to do, if I go up and I'm headlining a show and I got to do 45 minutes, I try to do as much crowd work out of that as I can. I got some material, but I like my crowd work is what works for me. I think it's good to have some good nervous energy, because if you weren't nervous at all, I think nervous energy, you feed off that when you get up there, and it helps your set.
You know who else said that?
Who's that?
Rocky Balboa.
But it's important to do any gig you can get. And I had Bill Burr at this old McDonald's chicken farm. He went on to sell out Madison Square Garden, so that proves to me you can do comedy at a bowling alley, you can do comedy anywhere. If you make people laugh, it's important. Every set's important. You do the best you can. Tom Carter's another one. He did the chicken farm. I had Tom Carter at the chicken farm.
I think that's the problem with my career, John, is I haven't done the chicken farm yet.
But I worked with Bob Marley, who's from Maine, a national comic, but on Tonight Show, Letterman. I had him down off Elmwood Avenue here in Cranston at the Portuguese Club. And that's why, people say, you've been doing comedy 25 years, why do you bother running open mics? But because I enjoy helping comics, and I've helped guys like Bill Simus and Mike Murray, who are doing great now with Funny for Funds. I help different acts along the way, and when I see Bill Burr, it blows my mind as a guy. And I want that to kind of if I die tomorrow, part of my legacy was he helped a lot of new comics.
Yeah. And then you recently survived cancer.
Yeah, I was lucky.
Talk about that bout. I mean, that's gotta make comedy look pretty easy in comparison.
They happened to find my kidney, and they said there's a spot in your kidney. We think you got cancer. I went to Boston Mass General for another opinion. I wound up dealing with them. And they did what's called an ablation. It's a treatment, and it cured the cancer. I go every few months. They do a CAT scan. I just went recently, and it's gone. So God willing, I stay cancer free, and God willing,
Cancer kind of puts everything in perspective.
Yeah, things you can't take things. That's like I say, the political thing in Rhode Island, the comedy, and who's doesn't get along with who. I don't let the stuff bother me like I used to. I just let it go. Getting older now, but my goal is just to keep doing it as long as I can. You know what? I'm happy with what I've done. You know what I mean? Like I had some thrills. I was voted funniest comic in the Providence Phoenix one year, and I was inducted into Rhode Island Comedy Hall of Fame, which to me is cool. That is one thing I like to be remembered for. A while, that guy had a drive for the comedy, and a passion for comedy, a drive for it. I feel like I got a really intense drive. That I think to be successful, you got to have that drive.